got it. He finally topped off, which took him off host capabilities. I don't know how that happened. I don't even know how it's possible, but things happen. So again, here we are 20 minutes in and I haven't done anything yet. So we figured which took him off host capabilities. I don't know how that happened. I don't even know how it possible. Man, technology today. All right.
It's never perfect.
You guys get a little pop-up saying we're recording?
Yeah, I saw it.
Sit
You
back
clicked
and
okay.
actually relax.
Normally I get one too, but I didn't. All right.
Said we're live streaming.
Yes. All right, guys, we are live. Let's just get to it. It's not going to be a super long call anyway today because what we're doing and what's going on right now is we're sideways trending, but we might be finally breaking out of support. This is Bitcoin right here. And as you can see, this little zone right here was a major zone of resistance back here in July 10th, which became support for the last 10 days, 2 weeks or so. And we went all the way up to an all-time high of 123K, and we came down and bounced on this several times. Here we bounced before we went up, we bounced after, we made a reattempt, but this was a lower high. We come back down and bounce again. We made another attempt, lower high, we bounce again. We come up and we make a little bit higher high, higher than this one, but we didn't get higher than the 120. We could not break one. We hit 120, but we couldn't get above it. We come down and retest on the overall downward trending resistance as support, and then we fall right back through, and then we fall through the floor, which is the major support here, and then we retest underneath as resistance. And not only did we retest here as resistance, but we're kind of retesting this downward trending previous resistance as well, which happens to be right here. So what does that mean? That means that we could be now finally falling under the support, which it looks like it is, retesting and coming down. And if that happens, we will hit the next support here at 114. And then through that, the next one down after that is about 112, which is what I mentioned in the signal that I gave at midnight last night. I am short in a sub account, breaking the major support, could pull back, but this could be the big drop in the short term before any pump. Short, stop loss, TP at 112,500. This is what it looked like at the moment. It was breaking below. And since then, I put the zone there, and that it's come back up and retested since then. It came down to here, came back up and retested the zone, and that's kind of where it sits right now. So down here, we do have we do have support and resistance down here. These are just different little markings that I have for the previous little bull flags that happened while we were breaking out here on our way up. We had another one here. We had another one up here, and then another one here. It was bull flag after bull flag, basically, as we were breaking from the 112 zone. This 112 right here, guys, was the previous all-time high right here. And we sat there we held under 112 from, I'm sorry, 120 right here. This was 120. What did I say, 112? I meant the 120 zone right here. And then after that, that's where we're probably going to come down to is the 120. But after that, if we fall below that, guys, 112 is not that far away. Basically, that is, why am I getting confused here? This is the 112. 112. Why did I keep saying 120? 120 is way up here. That's the one we just broke through. All right, so we have support here at 114, and the next one down is 112. That's where we stayed. When we hit this back in May, we stayed under the 112 for 2 months, from May to June, before we finally broke out, and we never retested. So to me, that's the major resistance level that we will come back down to retest here, and it will probably look like this. Something like that will be coming down into this apex going into the weekend. And a lot of times weekends is usually when we see these kinds of dumps, And this could be looked at up here as a Wyckoff pattern. We did have a head and shoulders here. We didn't break directly to the downside, but we actually broke to the upside of this downward trending resistance, but we never made a higher high. And whenever that happens, it's not good, generally speaking. Let's go and look at the different indicators for that. Well, while I'm here, though, before I go and show you that, this is the total crypto market cap excluding Bitcoin. And this is important too to discuss because here we've hit resistance here at 1.5 trillion market cap, way up here. And we've been bouncing our head here as resistance. We come back down and we hit the bottom here, which was previous resistance. We hit this as support. And we started to climb. We started to ascend up. And as you can see, we have upward trending support all the way up. We hit it here, we come up, we hit it here, we wick down to it right here. We come up and hit it again here and wick down to it right here. And then we come up and hit it again. So this is major potential breakout. This is a big trade setup right here, guys. Now it could take days. It could take, I mean, this is the weekly time frame here. So every one of these candlesticks is a week, but I mean, it is possible that we stay in this apex for a little bit, which could be a few more weeks, even in a month, but we are 70% through the apex. Whenever you get more than 70% through the apex to the tip, whenever you're 70% into an apex and it's getting tighter and tighter and tighter, the breakout is imminent. So it could happen anytime. It could happen now. It could happen next week. But I want you guys to be prepared for this because this is the altcoin market cap. This is all coins besides Bitcoin. And when this breaks out, guys, I mean, we could be shooting right up to $2 trillion market cap. And that is a big move to the upside for the altcoins. You want to know exactly percentage-wise, it doesn't look like far, but from here to just 1.9 trillion market cap, that's a 31% pump to the upside. At 10x leverage, that is a 300% move to the upside. At 20x leverage, 600%, so on and so forth. So you got to just be prepared for that. I know a lot of you are already trading multiple different coins, and but this is the overall indicator right here for that. Let's go over and change this back to BTC, USD. And then down here, guys, this is kind of important. We're on the weekly. And this is the stochastic RSI. The blue line crossed the orange line to the downside. It got below the 80, which is this dotted line. Both the orange line and the blue line got below the 80. And then the blue line crossed back above. And that was this little pump right here. We went up and we hit 108 right here. And 109, we had this giant falling wedge. This was back in, it started back in January and then all the way down to April. We had this big falling wedge, right? We broke out to the upside and we pumped. Chad was giving signals right here at 74.5 to go long. We broke out here and we pumped all the way up to 112 right here. That was the high. And that's the one we might come down to retest right now. So let me draw a line here. This was the new all-time high, and that was right here. And then we dropped again all the way down to 98K, and this is where we started to come down. And then boom, we pumped back up to a brand new all-time high, all the way to 123,000. But as you can see, this on the RSI did not get higher than this. And on the regular RSI, from our previous all-time high back here, when we hit 73K, and then we pumped up and hit 108, and then we pumped up and hit 123. As you can see here, here was 73K, here was 108, and here was 123. Lower highs on the RSI. High, lower high, lower high. But on the price, high, higher high, higher high. That's called bearish divergence. Not good. I know we discuss this all the time. It's not good or bad. It's usually an indication of a top. But the top wasn't in here, and the top may not be in here either. The question is how many times can this happen? Last time this happened, it only happened twice. And that was back here where we had a high and a lower high. And here we had a high and a higher high. So that's bearish divergence. And that was this after this second high right here. That was the beginning of the end, the bear market. It came right after that and we dropped all the way down to 15.5. But we did come down and then have another run up. We did have another attempt to try to make a new high. And as you can see here, when that happened, we pumped up, but here it never got higher than here. So again, a third touch point on bearish divergence, but this touch point was not a higher high. It was a lower high, and that was the beginning of the end. Over here, we had a third touch point on bearish divergence, but that up here was another higher high. In fact, we had one high here at 73. We had another high at 108. And then we come down here and we pump up to here, which was 112, which was even a higher high. And as you can see, we hit that here. And then we come down and we pump up even higher to 123. But this down here never got above the 70, which is this dotted line on the RSI. And it never made a higher high here, similar to here. So the question is that how many more times can this happen? How many more touch points? Are we going to come down to 112 maybe and then make another run for it to get up to 150, 160 in the price? And still have a lower high here and continue bearish divergence? It's possible, it just never happened before. So we're looking at things happening for the first time where we had that many touch points on bearish divergence and we still didn't drop. So something strange is happening. It's not a bad thing or a good thing. It's just different this time. So when people say, yeah, but this time is different, it's possible that that's true, right? So right here, it looks like this time might be different. So this could come down, bounce on the 112, and then we have a real run up to 150, let's just say. Hypothetical, let's just say that happens. And this comes down, when we come down to 112, this comes down a little bit and then pumps back up to here. So we could have another higher high, another big move to the upside, and still be in bearish divergence. And so when that happens, it's like, okay, well, here's the problem. The problem with that is normally this is an indicator of a top is in. And so far, not one of these has been a top. I mean, they've been new highs, but that doesn't mean that the top is in for the bull market yet. Now, how would we know? We won't know that the top is in because we could continue to have higher highs, but we will know if the top is in if we drop from here. If we go through the 112 and we come all the way down to as low as 70K right here. Why there? Because that was the previous all-time high, 68. And as you can see, from 68 to 73 right there, there's a little price range, a little zone. And so I would say this whole zone right here is the real floor that we would need to stay above. This is not to put fear or to talk about, crashing or anything like that. I'm just saying that as long as we stay above 70K, which we're way above it right now, then technically we're still in the bull market and the top is not in. The only way we would know that the top is in, and let's say 123 was the top, let's just say, the only way we would know that is if this dropped below 70K. Because if we come below 70K, then that's pretty much, that just means that this bull market is probably over. But we're so far away from that, guys, and there's no indication. I mean, look, other than the stochastic RSI now turning down again, let's just look at it here. We have the blue line again crossing over the orange line to the downside. We have 2 days and 8 hours left for this to change. We would need to pump back up to reverse that. It is a lower high, as you can see, after having a higher high on the price. So it is bearish divergence on the RSI. And if this blue line gets down below the 70, or the 80 rather, on the stochastic RSI, and the orange line comes around and follows it like it did here, then we could see much lower prices on the actual chart.
Hey, Nico,
Yes.
do you have a price that where the blue and the orange would switch?
The blue line down here has already crossed the orange line. There is already a cross, but and I'm doing,
Right, but you wanted to switch back so the blue stays over the orange, you know, and you said you got 2 days left.
well, 2 days left, because this is a weekly time frame, and there's 2 days left before this changes. So I can't see what it's doing until the 2 days and 8 hours is up. But we'll see on the price, because the price will change. If this is coming down to 112, then in 2 days, right here, you can see over here, 2 days and 8 hours, the weekly time frame will change in 2 days and 8 hours, and then this will adjust. This is either going to be down lower, the blue line is going to be down lower, and the orange line will have curved like this. The blue line will be down lower, and the orange line will have curved down. Or the blue line will uptick back up if this bounces here and shoots up. Right now it's looking bearish. And as you can see on the chart, we've had red candlesticks on the weekly. We had 2 in a row. We hit a top at 123, and the next candle after that opened lower and has gone down. That is bearish. So let's go down to the lower time frame. So we've been coming down, obviously, from the 123 up here, but only recently, I mean, very recently, like over the last 10 hours, did we drop below this floor. So we've been above this level for, 2 weeks, hit the all-time high, bounce, and then fell through and retested as resistance. So what we would need to see is this come back up. This needs to come back up, get above this line again, and then come back up. And then what you will see down here on the weekly is that blue line cross back up. Now we do have what appears to be that happening. I mean, we did come down lower. We came back up and tested. We actually even wicked back up right here, right there. And then that's usually bearish because it's a long wick to the upside, means the bears are pulling it down. And then it came down to here and bounced. And as you notice, this is not a lower low. So that could be looked at as a double bottom. And also possibly even the start of a W pattern. So if this comes up, back up to retest again here, and can get through, this could be our little savior to get us back above, I would say, back into this channel up here, this sideways channel. And that would kind of make sense as well, because I mean, it wouldn't necessarily make sense, but that would be where it would put us back up into this channel where we were before we had this breakout to the downside here, which I don't know what was on the news, what happened. Trump threatening Jerome Powell, publicly humiliating him. There was some things happen. I don't know why that would have caused that dump. I don't know if there was anything else. Anybody else want to share anything that they heard? But the last time, I mean, normally when we fall below the floor and retest as resistance, that's an indication of a drop coming. Going into the weekend, also likely that we see further dumping, but it is holding. It did not make a lower low here. I mean, I went short on the breakout and it retested, so I am still short, but my stop loss is up here somewhere, and I will reverse the position. That's why I clearly do say when I gave the signal that could pull back, but this could be the big drop in the short term before any pump. So let's see, where's my stop loss? 117.5. Let's go back and look. My stop loss is way up here. So I think, as you can see here, I moved my stop loss actually. And did I put that in the channel? Let me do that. Once it dropped down and retested and started to drop, I think I just did that right before the call. I moved it to 116.8. 116.873, which doesn't give me, that's just right here, guys. It doesn't give me much. So let's go back. Doesn't give me much room for error, but there's a reason for that. 116.8 is like right here on this line because I just figured if it crossed back above that line, then I don't want to be in the short. So my risk management's a little different than maybe Chad. Like he might not have taken that short at all. I mean, obviously you wait. There's other ways to do this, right? I try to get ahead of some things sometimes, but I also prevent much loss at all by putting tight stop losses in. Some of you don't like that when you get hit a lot because you're like, well, Nico, my stop loss was too close. It got hit and then it turned around and went the same way that it was supposed to. And if my stop loss wasn't there, I wouldn't have got hit. Okay, that makes sense. So imagine this. Imagine this. Instead of my stop loss being right here on this line, I put the stop loss way up here, way out of the way. And so this comes up and hits my stop loss right here, maybe goes up a little further and then drops. And then you're like, damn, if I would have had my stop loss up here, I wouldn't have got stopped out. That is true. And hindsight makes you such a genius. But the problem with that analysis is that if you put your stop loss up here instead to prevent this from happening, and instead of this happening though, it goes like this and pumps up like this and then goes all the way up and hits your stop loss here, you're going to lose a lot more than you would have had you had your stop loss here and then reverse the position and went long here. So me personally, I don't mind losing a little bit, making a lot. Losing a little bit, making a lot. So that's the way scalping works better for me. But I do understand the frustration because there's been many times when my stop loss got hit and then it ended up still doing what I thought it was going to do. And then I didn't get back in that trade for whatever reason. And had I not had my stop loss there or at all had a stop loss, I would have been very profitable in that trade. But that is a crystal ball situation that you just don't know that that's going to happen sometimes. And so it's better to be safe than sorry. I always say it's better to live to trade another day. And what I mean by that is that if you get taken out with a small loss, you live to trade another day. It's kind of like having more lives left on the video game. If you're taking big risks with your last life, and you don't have much money in your account, you're trying to hit a home run, you're trying to knock it out of the park, you're risking the entire farm, the ranch, as they say, and then it doesn't do what you want it to do, then you got wiped out. Now you have to go start over and refund your account. That's called getting liquidated or getting wrecked. And if you do that the way I'm showing you here, then small little if you have $1,000 in your account, for an example, guys, and you're risking 10% of it, that's $100. And if you put a 10% stop loss, that's only $10 that you're risking on that account, on that trade. And $10 is 1% of your entire account balance. And you could lose 100 times in a row before you lose your $1,000. You're not going to lose 100 times in a row here, but you could go 100 times in a row where your stop loss gets hit, losing $10, $10 until you go through your entire account balance. Whereas if you risk the $1,000 that you have and you go 50% of your account on a trade, $500, and you have a 50% stop loss, now you're risking a quarter of your entire account balance on one trade. All it takes is 4 trades like that to go through all your money instead of 100. So the goal is not to, I know in the beginning everybody wants to make money, but the goal is not for you to get rich on your first while you're learning how to do this, although it's nice if you get lucky or nice if you have some good trades. The goal is to become consistently profitable and understand your strategy. And then once you get it where you're making more wins than losses, or even if you're not making more wins than losses, let's just say that you get the same amount of wins as losses, but on your losses, you're only losing 10%, and on your wins, you're making 100%. So you got 10 trades, 5 winners and 5 losses. And on the 5 losses, you lose a total of $50. And on the 5 winners, you make a total of $500. You can lose 50% of the time and still be very profitable. But the goal is to get to become consistently profitable. Doesn't matter if your win rate is 50-50. Okay. Once you get consistently profitable, now you can add more money, deposit more money, trade, and then can just continue to grow your account. But let's get you there first before you start doing Hail Mary passes with trades, especially when you're brand new. I've gotten messages from some guys before, and I'm not going to name any names, but I've gotten messages Nico, I lost a lot on that last trade, and I've been busy at work, so I wasn't able to stop it. I wasn't able to move my stop loss into profit, and it took me out. Now I got to make this much in order to get back. Can you just give me one setup, one signal where I can make all my money back? As if I got some magic pool of trades that win, and I'm only giving you the shitty ones for now. But I got this pool of magic trades over here where if you take this trade, you'll get all your money back. Guys, it's not how it works. You can't operate that way. I know it sucks. We all want the easy button. But with that being said, Matt says major whale selling last night. Possibly yes. Bill's back. Thank you, Bill. What did you share, Bill?
Matt asked about the CME gaps, so I shared a chart with the CME gaps on them.
Yeah. So we're probably going to come down to the 114, and I would say probably the 112. However, if we do climb back up into this channel, which it could do, this could be saved for later in the weekend. I mean, we could come back up here and then fall through. But it is also possible, guys, that we have a lower high here, even though we didn't get a lower low. Normally we come down, we come up and retest, and then we have a lower low. And then we come up and have a lower high and then a lower low. And it starts to look like this, where it's a downward trending channel.
Your screen, Nico.
Sorry,
Yep.
guys. So a lot of the times, most of the time, we would come down and we would bounce and we retest and we would come down and have a lower low, lower than this one. And we would come up and then have a lower high, lower than this one. And then a lower low. And then we would have this downward trending channel, basically. Right? But this low right here was not lower yet. Or not, I mean, it wasn't lower at all. But it doesn't mean it won't become. This one right here bounced even with this one, and it's starting to climb back up. So it is possible. I don't know if it's going to happen, but it is possible that we just retest again and then drop. Or it's possible that we don't even get through this downward trending resistance right here. And we just come down right here. That's possible. We are going into a weekend, and so that normally there is no rhyme or reason for weekends. When I say we're going into a weekend, it just means that normally weekends are a little slower. Going into Sunday, there's usually some sell-off. There's usually some falling of price action, some selling action, and very, very low buying action, but not always. Every once in a while, you get a big pump on a Sunday, but the majority of the time, that's not the case. So so when you add the weekend into this breakout of the support and the CME gap being way down here between the 12 and 14 or between the 13 and the 14 zone right here, there's a good chance we could come down and take that out. And if we come up here and we look at, we go over here and we look at liquidity. We do have some more down here to come get right there at that exact spot, the 113 to 114.5 area. And I want my magic trade. I want it too, man. Sorry about the screen share thing, guys. Sometimes I unshare it and then I forget to share it back when I start talking. John Gardner, Bill, can you direct him? He's asking for the link to the liquidity heat map, guys.
Yep,
Yeah, just go into the help desk in the Discord. Come up here to the pinned post, And it's right here, CoinGlass liquidity heat map. You're welcome. And Bill just shared it also in the Zoom chat. Let's go. Somebody asked about Element. Let me just go back and see what that question was. Might have been before when I had to jump off and jump back on, so I don't see it now. But Element, which is one of our ICOs, guys, and obviously in the Discord, you go to the ICO section right here in the trade signal section, ICOs, Element token. This is a direct link to Dex Tools. Dex Tools is the platform that connects with Uniswap. Uniswap is the platform where you can convert native tokens like, well, you can convert Ethereum and BNB and things like that to these types of tokens that are not on the major exchanges. So we did have some action here on Element. Element was trending down for quite some time. It still kind of is, but this was a downward trend. And we had a big pump to the upside here and broke this downward trend. And it looks like in the recent week or so, we have been actually trending up a little bit, which is a trend reversal, which is good. So there's been a lot, either more attention or more information came out. I'm not sure, but the price did go up. And so what appeared to be a downward trending apex has broken out to the upside in the short term here, at least temporarily speaking, or in the last week or so, which is good. So what's going on here? I mean, it's Element is one of our ICOs. This was a token that was brought to my attention by a multimillionaire friend of mine who basically trades in nodes. Nodes, NODES, is where you buy into tokens that are in pre-sale mode, but they have not been launched yet, and they are not launching pre-sale publicly. In other words, it's not available to the public to buy. It's kind of like an IPO in the stock market, where you have to either be an employee or a CEO or someone part of the company in order to even know about it. And so my friend who is working with the founders, and by the way, the founder of Element, the parent company that brought Element to the table, is also the same parent company that had brought other majors like Gala and Stitch, I can't remember what it is, a few other ones that went very big time. My friend made like $9 million on Gala, and all he invested was $9,000. So he put $9,000. He bought 9 nodes for $1,000 each. And a node is basically, it's a software that mints tokens, right? Now I have 2 nodes that I bought in Element. And back in the beginning, when this was first presented here in this group, like 2 years ago, I made an offer in here and said, look, guys, if you want to buy a node, here it is. They were $2,500 each. And, I explained it's the same company that brought Gala, the same company that brought several other ones. And these other ones that they brought prior to Element all made it to Coinbase. And they all, 100x, basically. Gala, like I said, he turned his $9,000 investment into, I think, $6 or $9 million, something ridiculous. I mean, and now there's no guarantee that that's ever going to happen with any of these guys, but he bought like 100 nodes in Element. I only bought 2. So, that's kind of inside information. It's not illegal because this is decentralized, so there's no rules here really. But it hasn't done what Gala did yet. It hasn't made it to the major exchanges yet, and sometimes these things could take a couple years. And so you guys just have to understand that. Now, you don't want to buy a node now, because one node for Element is $6,000. If I were to go to Element, my back office in Element, you can see a node is $6,800 right now. And for $6,800, but not only that, but when you buy a node, it's minting you about 1,300 tokens a day. And 1,300 tokens a day at 0.0004 cents is hardly any money, right? Equal right now. So let's just do the math. 1,300 times 0.00046 equals about 60 cents per day. So at 60 cents a day times 365 days a year, you would only be minting $218 worth of tokens per year. Whereas if you, instead of doing that, you can take $218 and go to this platform right here and buy 475,000 tokens, which is a whole year's worth of minting all at once. Why wait? Why wait a year? And why spend $6,000 to do that? It would take you years to get your $6,000 back. So the point is that now when this first launched, we didn't know how long it was going to take for this to take off or go to 20 cents or 50 cents. So we were excited to buy our nodes, but right now I wouldn't buy a node, and I wouldn't recommend any of you buy a node, but you could if you wanted to. But here's the benefit of having the node. At this point, I've minted 3 million tokens in the last 2 years. If this thing does take off, now, if you guys just go to this platform with some Ethereum and buy some of this, you could buy $3 million worth of tokens. Let's just do the math. 3 million times 0.00046 cents for $1,380. You can buy the same amount of tokens that I minted over the last 2.5 years for $1,380, which is a fraction of the $5,000 I spent on nodes, and have the same amount of tokens as me. And then if this thing does shoot up to 20 cents, well, first of all, Gala shot up to 57 cents or 67 cents when it went public, when it went on Coinbase. So imagine if this shoots up to 60 cents, or let's just say 50 cents for that matter. I got 3 million of these things right now times 50 cents. I would have $1.5 million that I could cash out. Now, if you bought the same amount of tokens as me for $1,300 right now, and this thing went up to 50 cents, you would also have $1.5 million. That would be a 1,000x, right? But here's the difference between me having nodes and you not. If we did that, if you did that and this thing shot up to 1.5 million and both of us sold, and you sold all of your tokens and cashed out 1.5 million, and I cashed out mine for 1.5 million, the very next morning when I wake up, my nodes I have 2 of them, will have printed me another 2,600 tokens. So every day, 2,600 times 0.50 cents, I would be generating another $1,300 every day going forward. And as the price continued to go up. And so that would be, if it stayed at 50 cents, that would be an extra 500 grand a year for me being minted. So that's the benefit of the nodes. Now there's higher risk in the nodes because there's no guarantee this thing's ever going to do anything, right? But if it does, then I have a money printing machine. If it does eventually climb to 10 cents.
So would you say that the node is a bear market move?
Yes, the node is,
as long as you know what you're investing into.
Yeah, if you understand that the risk of loss is that you could lose whatever the value of the node is that you bought. Now, when I bought this node for Element, they were $2,500 each. Now they're $6,800. So they do go up in price over time as the supply, demand, and all the stuff starts to change. So they become more valuable and more scarce. And when I see the price change going up, I start to think, well, maybe something's about to happen. Maybe the price is going to change soon. Maybe they're getting ready to get on the open market, because that would make sense. There would be no reason for them to be selling nodes inexpensively if the price wasn't getting ready to pump. So, however, if you bought one node for $6,800 and you just happen to get lucky and the price shot up to 50 cents, you would still only you would only have minted $1,300 worth of 1,300 tokens in the first day, right? And so 1,300 tokens times 50 cents would only mean you just made $650. So that would not be smart right now to buy a node. Now, if it went up to $10, that'd be a different story, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. But Gala went up to 67 cents, I believe, at its peak. And my friend did cash out about 6 or 9 million. I can't remember the exact amount. It was a lot. So when
Yeah,
we,
this
and by the
looks
way,
like
I am,
something you would do in the downtime, like on a bear market to try and make a possibly smart move. as
yeah,
opposed
or at the
to
very
when
beginning.
everything's ripping.
Or in the very beginning when they first launch one of these node offerings, and it is from a parent company that has a long history of success with different launches, then yes, you take the risk. You buy one node. If you can't afford more, just buy one. And that would have been equal to buying one of these nodes back 2 years ago. That was the risk I took. I bought two of them. And so far, if you count up all the tokens that I've minted since then, I don't even think, let's see, it's like 3.5 million times the current price, 0.00046. I've only earned like $1,600. I didn't even earn my money back yet. Now here, there was a couple times back here where this went up to 0.002. So 0.002. That was about $7,000. If I would have sold right here, I could have made a couple grand on my node investment. But I just held, obviously, and it went down further. So if I would have sold right when it went on this exchange right up here I could have made 10 or 15,000, which that's not what I did it for, though. I didn't do it to double my money. I did it to 100x or 1,000x. And sometimes that takes a couple of years. All these tokens, guys, that you see on Coinbase that are $7, $17, $27. There's a lot of them, right? There's a lot of tokens on there that are $120. They were in this stage for 3 years, 5 years before they got on Coinbase. So waiting for them to get on Coinbase, you see a new listing on Coinbase and the thing shoots up from $14 to $16, and you bought it at $14. You're like, damn, I'm up to 10%. And you think that's good. But if you would have bought it 2 years ago at 4 cents, you'd have been rich. So this is how you get that, is by getting into these before they go on the major exchanges. But there is the element of risk, no pun intended. The token's called Element. The element of risk here is that they may not ever make it to the major exchange, but we are dealing with a company that has a track record of bringing them to major exchanges, and they normally don't mess around with projects that don't have long-term potential and big potential at that.
So Nick, how do you know to take advantage of this? Do we have this kind of advice on this platform when to
Yes.
get into? Okay.
So I know I've said this a couple times over the last couple months, but we just keep missing each other. The guy who brought me Element, the guy who I told you made millions on Gala, I'm going to have him on one of these calls to speak and let us know what are the other ones that are now available. And you guys can make your own decisions as to what you want to do there. But he's already told me there's a couple other ones in the works. Just a matter of getting them on here and make them available. And we'll give some links so that you can go and sign up and set up your nodes. They could be anywhere from $1,000 per node to $2,000 or more per node, just so you guys know. And so it is a risk, but it is kind of like IPO situation, right?
So I'm on this website. I can't really find the elements. I'm looking at the dextools.io link. So I'm looking at the search box and trying to locate some element. I couldn't find that. I don't know.
I'm sorry. Can you say that one more time?
Yeah, I said I just followed the link that you did on the dextools.io, and I was just trying to look at it.
Yeah, so if you get here and you want to buy this token, what you do is you come over here, you click the disclaimer here, and you're going to have to connect your wallet. You see right here it says connect wallet. And so you're going to have MetaMask or Trust Wallet or something like that, and you're going to have to already have Ethereum, because you cannot buy Element token without Ethereum. So you're going to be using Ethereum as the purchasing token, and then you will connect your wallet here. When you click connect wallet, it's going to come up with Wallet Connect. It's going to ask you what wallet you have, MetaMask or whatever, Binance, and then you're going to connect your wallet. And once your wallet's connected to this platform, you're going to make sure that Ethereum is on the top, not Element. You're going to click this button. So Ethereum is on the top, and then you're going to type in the amount of tokens you want to buy. And you're going to have enough Ethereum to buy it and enough Ethereum to also cover the
Slippage.
the gas fees. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Hey, Nico, just a suggestion.
Morning. So yesterday I completed.
Element has a Discord group, so people can actually join their Discord group to find out more about Element as well.
That's correct. So let me go over here, guys. And let's go back over here. Let me go to Element and see if I can just invite people into this group. I think I can. Not sure. Invite. There it is. Copy link. I don't know how long this is going to last because these links expire. But Bill put the Element token address here, so you can add that to your wallet, which you're going to need to do. And here is the Element. Whoops. Discord group. When you get in there, you're not going to have access to the nodes members area because unless you have a node. But also they do have a YouTube channel. There's that. And what else was I going to say? But yeah, if I go in there, you'll see, you know, they're in constant communication with the members. They're letting people know what's going on. They do have live calls every once in a while. You see node insiders. If you have a node, then you'll be invited into this. They have to verify and check that you do. But if you don't have a node, you still get support and access to everything. And you don't have to have a node. You can just go buy on Dex tools like I just showed you. What I was going to say, guys, is if you want a step-by-step tutorial, you go into the school. Let me, you go into the Crypto Renegades school classrooms, right? And you come here to how to ICO. And this kind of explains also how to set up your MetaMask if you're not using MetaMask, how to set up a wallet, how to buy the crypto in the wallet. Some of these videos are a little outdated, but everything still works the same. We explain how, you know, ICOs work and all that kind of stuff. So you can learn also about how to do all this stuff as far as getting your wallet set up, as far as buying on the DEX tools, buying on using, I think it's around here somewhere, token launch fundamentals, live ICO examples, using your MetaMask wallet, importing contract addresses to MetaMask. So we go through all that, guys, understanding and downloading MetaMask, adding the BSC main network or Ethereum mainnet to your MetaMask, all of these things. It's a little too complicated. It's not complicated, but it's a little more involved for me to explain it right now on this call. But that's how you do that. But yeah, we do talk about all that here, and you can ask any questions about it here. And we do have an ICO channel. Unfortunately, I've only posted one because I'm very hesitant, guys, very hesitant to share ICO information because it is much higher risk. There is no promise or guarantee of any of these things ever doing anything. But I will tell you this, the people that I know who have made the most money in the shortest period of time did it on some of these things. And of course, it's better to be aligned with projects that are more likely to do it, right? Than just trying to go out and gamble and trying to find ones that, are just pump and dumps and rug pulls and just kids that are just promoting their own tokens. You don't even know who's behind it. With Element, it's a multi-million-dollar company behind it. Not just multi-million, but like hundreds of millions they have. And so it's being brought to us by a project developer who has a track record of bringing strong, solid projects to the marketplace. So that's kind of like my example of being a poker player or a blackjack player who knows how to win. If you go into a casino and you're just sitting down for the first time and saying, hit me, hit me, hit me until you lose all your money. There's a big difference between that and the person who is an MIT graduate and knows how to count cards and is best friends with the dealer, and the dealer has a mirror on his sleeve and he's showing you his hand. When you have all those other little benefits in your favor, you're going to become a winning player, right? And so what we try to do is we try to reduce the risk as much as possible by vetting, scouting and vetting projects that have a more likelihood of being winners, but there's still no guarantee. I just want you guys to know that it's still a risk, right? But, you know, we do our best to try to bring the ones that we think are the best option or the best possible outcome. And I know, and I wouldn't even share it in the group if I didn't have firsthand already of seeing people do very well with these things. Personal friends of mine who have made millions. They're not even traders, guys. They don't even do what we do. They just, he was big into crypto buying and holding, but he got into nodes and he just aligned himself with these companies. He even moved to Vegas to be close to them, to explain and to be a representative and to kind of work with them to help educate people about them. And so, you know, he gets inside information on what's coming up the pipeline. And so because we go way back and he's in alignment with what we do as far as crypto, he's willing to, you know, give me this inside information. Go ahead.
Nico, a couple of quick questions. Now that we're on this subject, what do you think about buying tokens on the native market, and is that similar to buying nodes in Element?
And when you say native market, are you referring to like PancakeSwap or Uniswap or just tokens like that are being launched on?
Yeah, that tokens that are before that are launched before the major platforms.
Yep. So I've been over this before, and I'll do it again right now. Pink Sale, guys, is a platform you can go to find these types of pre-ICOs, not the types that I was just talking about, not the types that are offering nodes where they're being brought to you by multi-billion-dollar companies, but Pink Sale.finance right here. This is a platform where tokens are launched every day. Now, here's the problem, and this is what you guys need to understand. Anybody can create a token and launch a token, and so many people do. And I would say 80% of these are scams. 80% of these have they're shit coins. They have no utility. They're just being put on by teenagers and, you know, people trying to make a quick buck on you. And they're going to pump and they're going to dump. But here's how you decide. Here's how you understand. So you go up here to Launchpad at the top. Once you go to make sure it's Pink Sale. Sorry, guys. I keep forgetting to share my screen. So it's called pinksale.finance. Okay. And when you get here, this is what I was just explaining. Hundreds of tokens being launched all the time, but you don't know who's behind them. This is the problem. They're taking a big risk. Now you want to go into our trading portal and you want to watch this ICO process, understanding ICOs and all this stuff, because this will teach you how to get in on these. We don't promote these anymore. We don't talk about them anymore because there's just so many scams out there. But it is fun when you know what you're doing, and you can certainly do it. But let me just show you how it works. So you come over here and you come up here to Launchpads. You click on Launchpads, and then you go down here to Launchpad List. And top performers, and look at this. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, you know, just keeps going and going and going. And now look at some of these: Baby Manu, Valentine, Audit Doge, Fortune AI, Honeybit, S Doggy. You're going to see some funny ones: Baby 2, Fort Banana, upcoming, Sales Live. But there's something most of these have in common, and that is that they are scams and you don't even know it. But here's how you limit your risk. So as you're scrolling through this list, notice that some of them have this little blue badge right here. It says audit. Some of them have audit and KYC. Some of them have nothing. Some of them have doxed, audited, KYC, and business. Now this one, the sale is live right now. It's called Baby Jackpot. It's a fair launch, which means open to the public. It's in progress right now. They're trying to raise hardly any money. Doesn't make sense. Why? Their soft cap is 0.69 BNB. That's like one. I could buy this whole company right now. Doesn't even make sense. But they're doxed, they're audited and KYC, which means that Pink Sale verified who they are. They're documented, the people behind it. They've been audited. They've been KYC'd, which means know your customer, which means they know who's behind this. So they're not hiding. The ones that you don't, that see that don't have this, they don't want you to know who they are. And that means you should not invest in their projects or buy into anything if they don't have at least this. So as you scroll through these, doesn't matter how good the token looks, doesn't matter of anything. If they don't have at least these 3 badges right here, Docs, Audit, and KYC, don't do it. But since this one has it, let's just look at it. You click the view button. It's going to take you to the launch. Baby Jackpot. Okay, they're even showing their pictures. I don't know who these people are, but actually that's the founder of Ripple right there. So I don't know. I don't know if these pictures are real or what they're even showing there, but there's going to be a video explaining it. And as you can see, all you got to do is connect your wallet. You click on connect wallet. It's going to pull up your wallet address. If I click MetaMask, it's going to open up my MetaMask, right? I'm going to enter in my password and I'm going to unlock, and then my wallet's connected. As long as I have BNB, because that's the token you need to buy it, then I can just type in the amount of this token I want and buy some of it. Once I buy it, I have bought it, but it's not going to be in my wallet until the sale ends. See this green bar right here? It's going to go, 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 go. There's 2 days, 21 hours, 41 minutes, and 37 seconds left. When this ends, the sale ends, there's going to be a claims tokens button here. I'm going to click the claims token button, and it's going to put those tokens in my wallet. Then this company, you're going to go to their Telegram group, and this company is going to, this project is going to let you know when they're going public. So I just did it. I just went over to their Telegram. Where is it? Nothing opened up. I thought I did. Open a Telegram. That's a little sketchy. The fact that it didn't pop up. You can see hundreds of them here in my Telegram because we've been in hundreds of these projects. The first couple years of Crypto Renegades, guys, we were getting into a couple of these a week. And some of us making 30x, 40x on these launches. But the reason why we stopped is because they were getting more and more scams, more and more pump and dumps, more and more projects that were just bullshit. And it was too risky. And we just said, screw this. We're not doing this anymore. It was fun while it lasted. So we don't recommend it, to be honest with you. That's why the only ones we share now are the ones that have been vetted. And I think they are part of a big conglomerate or a big company behind them that actually knows what they're doing. But with all that being said, where was it? I must have closed it out. Let me just go back to Pink Sale because I was trying to show you guys something. There is a way to do it to at least limit your risk. You guys still see my screen okay? I've been bouncing around here.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, yes, sir.
So you go to Launchpad, you find the one, and let's just say it's that one that I was just talking about. There it is right here, Baby Jackpot. View. You click view. You go over here. You connect your wallet. You buy, and then and then when the sale ends, you claim your tokens, and the tokens go into your wallet. Then they're going to announce when when it goes live, when it launches to the public. This is a private sale, pre-public, ICO, initial coin offering, before it goes public. Right? Once this sale's over, you have these tokens before it goes public. Now, see, this is a public sale, but most people don't know about it. There's only 72 people in the world that has contributed to this. So once it goes public, then you're gonna want to be ready when that happens. And usually what you do is you're going to take the token address, which is this one right here, copy it, and you're going to go over to something called, we used PooCoin back in the day. PooCoin, there it is right there, PooCoin. And it's called PooCoin because that's what was launching, shit coins. I know, it's ridiculous, but take the token address, paste it in here, and it usually will pull up. There it is, Baby Jackpot. You click on it, and as you can see, nothing on the screen. Here is a chart of a token that does not exist yet, that has not went public yet. Once they announce that they are going to go public, and let's just say it's today at 12 noon, right? And all of a sudden, boom, what you're going to start to see is you're going to see the very first candlestick. Boom. You're going to see the first candlestick. Boom. Right? And let's say you bought 10,000 of these things for a penny each. And all of a sudden, boom, it pops up to 5 cents. You click the trade button up here. You can't do it right now because it's not live. But you click the trade button, you connect your wallet, you connect this platform to your wallet as well, and you simply swap or sell it back to BNB. You started with BNB, you bought this token, you bought 10,000 of them for a penny, the thing goes up to 5 cents or 10 cents, you sell it back to BNB, and now the amount of BNB you had just 10x'd in your wallet. What I just explained to you guys is something we did for 3 or 4 years straight that made a lot of people in our group a lot of money. I mean, there was times where I would make 40 grand, 50 grand in a day. I don't know, Bill, you remember, I don't know if you remember Vetter and some of these other ones that we got into that were just nuts. We had 100x in one day, 100x in 24 hours. I mean, crazy, crazy. And the problem is, though, every once in a while we would get one where you would go to sell after you think you just made a fortune, you go to sell and selling was locked or it wouldn't let you sell. And then the founders sold everything and dumped it on you. That's called a rug pull. They take all the money in and then they sell it and then they disappear. This is why you cannot get involved in any of these if you don't know who's behind it. So you don't want to get in any of these where there is no information about the person or the company behind it. But just to give you an idea, that's how it works. So, you know, I'll put one in here to show you. Vetter, for instance. Vetter, you know, we made a fortune. It was Valentine's Day as well. I mean, not Valentine's Day, it was Thanksgiving. And so the chart just starts to populate just like this. You know, it starts to, let me go to a higher time frame.
Those spikes are nuts.
Oh man, it was fun. It was fun back in the day for a while. But as you can see right here, this was back in October of 2021. Just to give you an idea, look at this. It launched right here at 0. Look at over to the far right, 0.0008 cents. 3 zeros and an 8 right there. Boom. And it shot all the way up to 2 cents. And then it came back down and did what we call the J curve. And guys, that's what I said. We teach this right here, the crypto J curve. This is when you get in. You wait for that first pump, and then when it starts to curve, you get in. And you or if you didn't buy on the pre-sale, you get in here, which you could do. You can do on PooCoin as well. You can just buy right here. But if you got it on the pre-sale, you're in before it even launches. So you're in here. You could sell here, or you can wait for the J curve and sell up here. And just so you see, no, if you would have bought, I don't know, I put 4 BNB in at the time. BNB was $500, so that was $2,000. I put $2,000 with a BNB in this, and it went from 0.008 cents to 2 cents. So what's that? 0.02 divided by 0.008. That's 25x right there, guys. So $2,000 times 25. That was 50 grand. And then you just come up here, click the trade button. This is what it does. It looks like this. And you just make sure that to put the token on top. So you reverse this so the token's on top. And then you click all or whatever, and you just type in the amount you want to sell. So let's say I bought 10,000 of them, I would just put the whole amount in. And once it's connected to my wallet, I just click the swap button and it swaps it back to BNB back in my wallet. Yeah, those are fun times. You can see all my transactions down here. I was selling this in and out all the time. Anyway, that's a whole nother world, guys. And yes, you can do it in your spare time, but just make sure that when you're on that platform looking at these tokens, that you make sure that you do not participate or get into any of these unless they meet this criteria. This is a strict rule that we had. Do not get like this one right here, Fuji coin or turning fun. Okay, let's view it. they're gonna make it sound good, they're gonna explain, oh, blah, 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 all this stuff, but there is nothing behind this. You don't know who it is. Look, they got their pre-sale going for like a whole 6 months. This doesn't even make sense. So anyway, just use your common sense, guys. It's better to vet them, and how you vet them is by going through them. Not only that, but even if you find one that has those three badges, like I just showed you, like this, here's what you do. You click the view, and before you buy into this, you go to their Facebook page, you go to their Twitter page, you go to their Telegram, you go to their Pinterest, you go to all of their different platforms, and you click on them, and you want to make sure that they are real. There's really something going on there. There's people there talking. I don't see anybody. I don't see anything there. So even though that one had all those things, I don't. Oh, there it is. There it is. What is this? So all it did is take me to it took me to a post for Pink Cell. It did not take me to their Facebook page. So skeptical already with this one. Would not get into it. Let's go back over here. You can go to their Twitter. Let's see if they're on Twitter. Wants me to log in first. Something skeptical about that too for some reason. I don't know why. Yeah, I'm not going to do this with you guys right now. But anyway, you want to check their social media. You want to see that they're real, that they're actually communicating with their group. Generally, you go into their Telegram group, and you want to make sure their Telegram group, open in Telegram, it's not taking me to their page. I don't see it. What it's doing is it's taking me to a search page where I have to search for them. And normally a real one will take me right to their Telegram, when you can see all the messages and everything. So to me, I'm already suspicious about this one. I would skip that one. And then what? So instead of getting into that one, we go back over here to Launchpad, and we just scroll and try to find different ones. And this is one way. This is one way to do it. There are other ways to find legitimate pre-sales and ICOs, but this is one way, is just to come right to Pink Sale, because there's just hundreds of them here. But you do need to go through and look for audited and KYC, at the very least, those two. Docs, KYC. Let's just look at this one. Not now. Unlocked, canceled. Okay, that's not good. Let's go to this one. Ano ended. They didn't even get their soft cap was 500. Their hard cap was 2,000 Solana. They didn't even get to their hard cap, because they don't have enough buying pressure. You know why? Because they don't know how to market, because they don't know how to introduce people to it. Here's one. Docs, audited, KYC, ended. They reached their hard cap, 1,379 Solana. That's pretty big. That's pretty good. Let's go and look at it. Now, because this one already had their pre-sale, you can't get on the pre-sale. But what you could do is, if you knew when their token was about to launch, you don't need to get on the pre-sale. You just copy the token address, right? Copy the token address right here. Go over to KuCoin. And let's see. If it didn't launch yet, this could be one where you could get in right before it launches. But you can watch it first. It's not even showing up on there. So they did not add the liquidity yet to the major launch pad. So I don't trust them yet either. So this is the problem with these guys, is there's a lot to learn before you go and throwing your money into these things. You got to understand who you're dealing with, whether they're legit or real or not. They might have real YouTubers talking about it, but these guys get paid in tokens. And you know what they do with those tokens as soon as it goes public? They dump them. And so, because they don't want the tokens, they want the money. And so whenever you see a big dump at launch, it's because the promoter got paid in tokens. So that's just a little insight to the whole ICO world, guys. I personally don't recommend it. Stick to trading, learn a real skill that you can really count on more, because these tokens are hit or miss. Yes, they're fun to get in on. Yes, you can make a lot of money in a short period of time if they're legit. But the problem is you don't really know if they are, and there's a lot of risk involved. Any other questions?
Could we maybe go over, just look at XRP real quick again?
Yes. So we do have, just on Bitcoin here, as we were talking about, we do have that you know, it is coming up a little higher, possibly creating a W, but I'm not so sure it's going to get back above that resistance right now. And so we'll see if that comes back down. XRP and Ethereum are the two other ones that have following very similarly to Bitcoin. We went above the major support. We fell below it. It came back up to retest and it's falling a little lower. As you can see, XRP is continuing in its downward trend right now. I think that the floor for XRP is somewhere, possibly where it's at right now. Get rid of this. I mean, I was thinking the $3 range right here where it bounced already once was the floor, but that doesn't mean it can't go lower. But as you can see, we had major resistance here, resistance, and a breakthrough and support. So this was when we finally shot up to these highs, and this is the first time it's coming back down to retest this area. And we had a bounce and a bounce. So now we're double bottomed here. So here's what I would do. Now that I just observed, analyze this, I would say that a breakout is imminent on this downward trend. So I would draw a downward trending resistance line on this angle right to the floor, which is the $3 mark, $2.98, somewhere like that. And then you can see we're in an apex. And I would wait for the breakout. Breakout is either going to be to the upside or the downside. Obviously, if we break to the downside, we could have some further dropping, which could bring us down to, let's just go back. Let's go to a higher time frame and see what this looks like. Okay, so we were in this major downward trending wedge before, and we broke to the upside. This is when we pumped to new all-time high. I would say this white line right here, guys, that was the first support. That was the major floor there that we broke through at $3.37, which was this high back here. We fell through that and we came down, come down, all the way to this red line, which is this major resistance here, and support, resistance. That's what we just hit. That's what we're hitting right now at $3. Actually, no, that's what we're hitting right now at $3 is up here. So I would say the next major support is right there at $2.89. Boom. Support, resistance. Yeah. So let's go back. Down to the lower time frame, $2.89. I'm just going to get rid of this and move this white line to right there, $2.80. I'm going to bring it right to there. This was resistance, support before we climbed out. So this is it right here. So we're either going to break down to retest that final drop, or this is it. We're double bottoming and we're going to break out. So let me get rid of this. Let me just change the colors here because I like it to, it makes my eyes feel better when green is going up. And then if it's going to break down, it's going to look like this. My brain's not working today. That's what's about to happen here, I think. Any other questions?
No, sir, not for me. Thank you. Thanks for going over that.
You're welcome. Diane asks, is Coinbase different from Coinbase Wallet? It looks like Kim will answer the question, but yes, Coinbase Wallet is a separate, it is Coinbase still. It is Coinbase offering you the wallet, but the Coinbase Wallet allows you to buy coins that are not listed on Coinbase. Just like in these ICOs I was just showing you, you would need a wallet in order to access those if it's not for sale on Coinbase. All right. All right, guys. So if you're brand new, we do have onboarding starting at 2 o'clock, which is 20 minutes with Bill. I highly recommend that if you're brand new and you just joined us, that you get on that call. If you're on this call, make sure you get on that call. Bill will put the link in the Zoom chat, and he also puts it in the Discord in the main chat. Let's go back to the Discord trade chat. Onboarding right here. He already posted it there. He also posted it in the announcement section right here. And also in the Zoom chat that we're on right now, right here. If you're a week in, 2 weeks in, and you've been on onboarding once, but you're still a little confused, get on it again, guys. Get on it again. It's always good to repetitiveness is very helpful when you're learning how to do this stuff. Just hearing something over a few times and you get it. Okay, sometimes it doesn't take much. Some of you might need to hear things 5 times. Some of you only need to hear it once. But if you're saying, oh, I got an onboarding, but I'm not quite sure how to do this. Well, get back on another one or get on the basics call on Wednesday and make sure you just keep getting on these calls. But I also noticed that a lot of people who don't know something that they need to know, skipped a lot of the training videos in the tutorial in school. In the school office or back office platform, there are lots of step-by-step tutorials. Don't skip those. Also, make sure you watch the mindset one. A lot of people skip that because they think they don't need mindset. They're already positive. They're already motivated. I don't need mindset. I just need to know how to make money. But then they skip that one. And that one's one of the more important ones because a lot of the problems that when I do finally get on with somebody who's having a problem, it turns into be a life coaching session. It has nothing to do with trading. It has to do with their fear and greed and getting in at the wrong time. And it's usually a mindset problem. So just don't skip it. Understand what the problem might be before you get to the problem so that when you have the problem, you can recognize it as a problem. Mark says, hi, Nico. Can you comment on how to handle long-term holdings relative to what's happening with XR? I think you meant XRP. I was at 3K at the $3.50-ish, and now that it's going down, hindsight tells me I should have sold it all at the top. Well, first of all, I don't think that $3.66 is the top. That has been the top. That's the most recent top. But there was a guy, I forget his name, Barstool guy or whatever it is, the guy who gives the pizza reviews at pizza restaurants, famous dude. He was publicly crying on his YouTube channel because he bought XRP at $2.40, like $1 million worth. It went up to, he bought it at like $2.10 or something like that. It went up to $2.40, $2.50. And that was the top at the time. And he sold it. It dropped back down to like $2. You guys might remember it dropped back down to $1.98. And then it shot all the way up to $3, $3.10, $3.20, $3.40, $3.50, $3.60. And had he kept it, he would have made an extra $6 million. And he was crying that he sold it at $2.40 and now he regrets it. But he's going to be even more regretful when it goes to $4, $5, $6, $7, $50, $10, $20, and possibly even $100. So it just depends on what your goal is, Mark. Are you looking for short-term gain, are you a fix and flip house guy that buys a house wholesale for a discount, turns around and flips it to someone real quick for a $10,000 profit? Or are you the guy that buys the house wholesale, puts 20 grand into it, fixes it, and then flips it for a $50,000 profit? Or are you the guy that buys the house, holds it, puts a tenant in there, holds it for 5 or 6 years, and then flips it for a $200,000 profit? I've done all three of those things before. And I know that I used to kick myself because I wholesaled back in the day when I was in that flipping houses. I wholesaled like 50 houses. And I thought I was slick because I would get these houses under contract and I would sell the contracts to the end buyer. And I was making 10 grand, 15 grand each time. And I would do a couple of those a month like it was nothing, easy. But I had 2 or 3 guys in my pocket that bought these things from me. And they were rehabbers and they were buy and hold guys. And these guys would buy it from me. They'd be glad to pay me my extra 10 or 15 grand commission for finding that deal for them and selling them the house wholesale. They were happy to do that. So I thought I had a good thing going until a few years later, one of the guys reached out to me and said, "Hey, you got any properties? I'm trying to buy more." I'm like, "I'm just out of curiosity. How did you make out on the last one? Did you fix it up and sell it?" He goes, "No, I still own them. I still own it." I said, "You still own it?" I thought he was fixing them, putting the money in, and then turning around and selling them for $40,000, $50,000 profit, which I could have done too, but I didn't want to put any money into them. I didn't want to go through all that. But what he was doing was he was putting 20, 30 grand, 40 grand into them, and then putting a tenant in there and then refinancing them and pulling all the equity out and taking that money and buying the next house from me and doing that over and over. And so when I talked to him a couple years later, he had like 100 houses worth millions and millions, paying him rent every month. And I realized then that I was stupid, that I should have done what he was doing. The big money, guys, is not in the quick flip. Now I do that now with apartments. You know, I try to buy 30 unit, 40 unit apartment buildings, and I have a couple partners, but same concept. Instead of doing one house, we buy 40 unit apartment building for $2 million. We put 100 grand down because we negotiate the hell out of it with the seller because they're distressed. The property needs a lot of work. And we know we're going to have to put a lot into it, but we also know it's going to be worth a couple $1 million more than we paid for it 5 years down the road. Not tomorrow, not next week, 5 years down the road. And during that time, we're going to improve it. We're going to get people to rent it. We're going to raise the rents every year. We're going to stabilize it. And then we're going to go to the bank and refinance it and pull all that equity out tax-free and then use that money to buy more. And then you get to the point where you have hundreds of units and you're just collecting a large amount of cash flow every month. So that is a strategy, but it takes a long time. But that's where the big wealth is made. It's not the quick buck. It's getting rich, wealthy. Okay, so that's kind of a similar. So to answer your question, Mark, what I would do with XRP is not sell it at all. Buy more on these dips. So when it goes down from 360 all the way back down to $3, buy more. If it goes up to $4 and then drops down to 350, buy more. This is where most people make a mistake. They try to time the tops and the bottoms. And if you were to sell right now because you think you're getting, or maybe you're greedy, or you think it's going to continue down, and it may continue down a little bit more, but then you sell it and then it shoots up on you and you're like, damn. And then you go to buy it back and you're buying back at a higher price than you just sold at.
So what if we did the dollar cost averaging every other week?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
DCA, dollar cost averaging.
Yeah. I buy, believe it or not, I buy almost every day. But on Bitcoin, I buy once a week. But I'm also making Bitcoin. I'm also trading. And every time I make a profit on XRP or anything, I kind of just take that profit and move it into a long-term holding account. And I just continue to trade with the same amount. Whether that's right or wrong, I don't know. But my goal is to accumulate a lot of these top players. Now, it depends on where you're at, guys, financially. It depends on what you're doing. If you need money to pay your bills, sorry, I'm looking over here because I have so many cameras in front of me, but I'm using the wrong one today. If you need to take money out every week from your trading activity or from your buy and hold strategy to pay your bills, then you're never going to grow your account. You're going to make money and you're going to flip it, and you're going to sell it, and then you're going to get out, and then you're going to have to buy it back, wait for it to go up, make some money, take it out, or you're going to trade. You're going to trade, you're going to get a profitable trade, you're going to take that profit, you're going to convert it to US dollars, send it back to your bank, pay your bills. Now you got to trade again. It's kind of like me flipping houses. Every time I did one of those wholesale deals, I made 10 grand. That was great, but it was transactional, which means that if I didn't do it again, I wouldn't make no more money. So I had to keep doing it over and over again. If I would have just bought those houses and kept them, they would have continued to go up in value over time. I would have continued to raise the rents over time. The equity would have got bigger. The debt would have got lower because the tenant's paying off the debt, and I could refinance them. And it's like a goose that keeps laying the golden eggs year after year after year that never goes away. So my recommendation is, if you're a real estate investor, is never, ever, ever sell. Never sell the goose that's laying the golden eggs. Continue to increase the value, continue to let the debt get paid down by the tenants. And then every time there's more and more equity, every couple of years, you refinance it, pull the equity out, which is tax-free, and continue to let the tenant pay off the new debt. You never pay the debt off yourself. You let the tenant pay that off. You take that tax-free, that equity, and you go and spend, you fund your lifestyle with that. You take your vacations with that money. You buy more property with that money. So in a sense, we're doing the same thing with crypto. So you build your portfolio, you build it. It takes time. But once you get to a point where you have maybe 100,000 XRP, 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 XRP, you have 2 or 3 Bitcoin or 1 Bitcoin, let's just say, it doesn't matter. Bitcoin goes to $1 million. You might say, well, I'm going to sell now. I made $1 million. And you sell that Bitcoin and you get hit with a 40% capital gains tax. If there's still the IRS, I don't know if there will be in 5 years from now. Who knows? The way Trump is going, there might not be any taxes anymore. But let's just say you sell it. You got a 40% capital gains tax. That leaves you with $600,000 in cash. And you go and live your life and you spend that money. And guess what? Eventually you will spend that money, because if it's not making you any more money, it gets spent.
Correct.
Right? But your Bitcoin that you sold, now you look back, you see on the news, Bitcoin just hit 2.6 million. Bitcoin hit 3.5 million. And you're going to be mad that you sold your Bitcoin from $1 million because it went up to 3 million 2 years later. Right? Whereas what you could have done is you could have borrowed against your Bitcoin, let's just say 50%. So you pull 500 grand out cash, tax-free, because it's loan proceeds. The person who's lending you the money, the institution or the bank or the platform that's lending you the money, is holding 50% of your Bitcoin as collateral for the loan. So you still own the Bitcoin. Bitcoin continues to go up in value over time. That means that there's more and more equity. You have more Bitcoin going up in value. You can pay back the loan with the increased value of the asset that they're holding as collateral. And if you want, when Bitcoin hits $3 million, you borrow another $1 million. Because the interest you're paying on the loan, 8, 9, 10%, let's just say it's high, let's say it's 8%, is less than the 50, 60, 70% a year that you're making from Bitcoin going up in value. It's something called an arbitrage. So if you loan me money at 8% and I take that money and I invest it in this thing that's making me 100%, after paying you back your 8%, I'm still making 92%. That's the arbitrage off borrowed money. That's how you get rich. So you can do these transactions all you want, Mark, and everybody else. But I've been saying this since day one for years now in here. I trade to accumulate more. But if you have to pay your bill, if you're trying to do this to replace your job, that's a different story. You then, when you get good enough to do that, you might have 2 accounts. You have a sub account and your main account. Sub account, you're trading to accumulate, like I do with Bitcoin margin, on a Bitcoin margin. And then you trade on USDT, and that might be your income. You're trading for income. You're trading for cash. And every time you make a couple $1,000s, you just pull it out, pay your bills. There's nothing wrong with that. But you will be on a roller coaster. You'll be on that treadmill for a long time if you're spending everything you're making as you're making it, because you're leaving nothing to grow. Right? So I'm sacrificing taking profits now for later. Is there any guarantee of the future? No. Do I even know if I'm going to be around tomorrow? No. Do I even know if Bitcoin's going to go to $1 million for sure? No. I'm pretty sure it will. Pretty sure it's on its way. I mean, if you just look what it's done over the last 10 years, guys, $1 invested into Bitcoin in 2010, $1 is worth 1.5 million today. $1. If you would have taken that same dollar and bought $1 worth of gold in 2010, that $1 would be worth $2.75. People say, oh, gold is just as good. No, it's not even close. Bitcoin has gone up 10 million%. Gold is good. Don't get me wrong. It's physical. I love gold. I have gold. I wear gold. I have coins that I play around with, and I like the feel of gold, and I like that it's a real rare asset, but it's not as rare as Bitcoin. Why? Because gold, they keep digging more of it up out of the ground, We don't know how much is still in the ground. There's probably more still in the earth than they've ever dug up. They're probably regulating it. They probably know that there's a lot more. So they're regulating it, only bringing up a certain amount to keep the price a certain level. It's probably worth more than what they're saying it is right now per ounce, but it's not, it's a store of wealth. It's something that you hedge. And if you're already rich, you buy gold to protect your money from going down in value, purchasing power. But you don't buy gold to get rich. Gold is never going to go through the moon, to the moon. It never has in my lifetime. My mother used to have a jewelry store when I was a kid, when I was a teenager. I used to sell jewelry in her store. I remember when gold was, $800 an ounce. And now it's 3,500. Well, doesn't that mean it went up in value? No. The dollar went down in purchasing power because of the fiat currencies being printed. Gold just keeps holding its value. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Alex. You were saying something?
Going back to your real estate analogies, condominiums started in Utah for someone who could not get his apartment building sold. So he broke the apartments, individual apartments down into individual housing, and then made a ton more money off selling the pieces than the whole. So if you can take that to crypto, you see, like you said, a group of it, and you never mind, I'll let you do that. You're the professional on that.
Oh, no, I appreciate that. And you're very smart in that aspect. And that's true, guys. It's like it's easy to say right now, XRP is $3, let's just say. It's easy to say, yeah, but man, it's been low for so long. It was like 50 cents for years. It was 15 cents for a couple of years. When is it ever going to go up? Guys, it's gone up. It's gone up from 49 cents. Let's just look right here. Let me just share my screen real quick before we wrap the call up. I mean, this was right here, guys. This was just July 8th. We were at $2.30 on July 8th. That was like 18 days ago. It went up 60% in the last 2.5 weeks. Before that, it was sideways for a while before it broke out. And before that, it was down here. And that was just November of 2024. So less than a year ago, 6 months ago, 7 months ago, it went from 50 cents, 49 cents here up to $2.90. That was 471% pump to the upside. And then it just did it again here, up another 60%. And now it's going to go sideways. It could do that, guys. It could go sideways for a little while. This is the frustrating part, is that it can do this and go wind into another apex like it did here. And then what's going to happen is we're going to have another breakout and another pump to the upside. Who knows how far, but let's just say it goes up to $5. $5 and $5 right on the nose. That's another 53% to the upside. Does that look possible? Does that look like the trend? Looks like it to me. So I would just hold. I'm holding. I got a lot of XRP. And I think if Ripple, first of all, thinks that they will have 14% of the entire market when it comes to settlements, currency, purchasing and finance settlements, meaning all the transactions in the world, when they get digitized and they go on the Ethereum, the Ripple blockchain or the XRP blockchain, and they think that they will get up to 14% of the entire market. If that happens, you're talking about $1,000 for XRP. Now, is that going to happen anytime soon? I don't know. But if it happens tomorrow, I'll be having yacht parties in Monaco. If XRP went to $1,000, shit. Now, do I think it's going to go to $1,000 anytime soon? No, but it could go to $750 to $10 just this year. It could go to $20, $50 sometime pretty soon, within the next year or two. And depending on how much you get, I mean, you're going to be mad if you didn't accumulate a lot more of it at this price. But if it went to $25, I mean, some of us will make millions, depending on how much you have. But just remember, guys, not that long ago, Bitcoin was $2.30, $3.60. Maybe a decade, but still, 10 years is not a long time to wait to turn a couple $1,000s into a couple $1 million. As John, I don't know if I pronounce your name right, John. It says he's asking, if you're using crypto day trading to replace a job and need to pay bills along the way, how would you pull profits throughout the year without getting crushed by taxes? Would you take profits directly or use the loan strategy to cover monthly expenses and avoid triggering big taxable events? Well, first of all, guys, you are not triggering taxable events. The IRS doesn't know anything about anything until you tell them. You're not getting crushed by taxes because no one's knocking on your door asking for money every time you take a profit. I don't know if you noticed this or not, but you can sell something for $1 million profit today and nobody will even know. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying do something illegal or illegally evade or avoid taxes. What I'm saying is that you are the only one that is required to file a tax return. And you only do that by April of the year for previous year, right? So you don't even have, you can make all kinds of money throughout the year and you don't have to even report it until tax time next year, right? So what you report is up to you. I do know this, BMX is out of Singapore. They're decentralized. They do provide you a P&L you can print out, but they are not reporting anything to anybody. It's up to you to take your P&L and give that to a CPA or accountant or to claim whatever you earned. And not only that, but you can also chalk it up as a loss if you lost. But as soon as you divulge how much you have, now you're in the system as saying that. Now, you can also trade in a trust. So here's another way to do it, John. You trade in a trust. You set up your account, or you basically create a trust and you sell your crypto to the trust, not for what it's currently worth, but what you bought it for. So if you bought $1,000 worth of Bitcoin and now Bitcoin is worth $100,000, your $1,000 investment is worth $100,000, you sell what you sell to the trust for the amount that you bought it for, $1,000. Okay. And then now the trust owns it. Now you work for the trust. So you could take profits out of the trust. You get payroll out of the trust. So let's say you take profits out of your crypto account to the trust account, and then you pay yourself $500 a week or $1,000 a week out of the trust account as an employee. That's what you pay your bills with. You don't pay your bills with profit distribution. You pay your bills as a salary as a manager of the trust. But the money that's coming into the trust to cover that is the profit from the trading that the trust owns. So this is all structure. This is how you structure yourself. I am not a tax advisor, guys. I just talk to so many of them that I'm parroting what I've been told. So don't hold me accountable to what I'm saying here. You need to talk to a professional. But I will tell you, there's some guys out there that are working for the IRS. So be very careful. When I say that, I don't mean they literally work for the IRS. I just mean that they are CPAs or accountants, and they do not know anything about tax strategies. Their job is just to tell you what the law requires you to do as far as the IRS is concerned. Now, there's tax strategists out there that take the law and then they create strategy on how to minimize or reduce your tax liability legally and lawfully. Those are the guys that you might want to talk to. You can send me a DM and I can refer you to people who are much more familiar with how to set up entities and corporations and C corporations and trusts and LLCs in tax lenient states like Wyoming, things like that. And there are all kinds of strategies. This might sound a little convoluted for you, but there is a way for you to take the liability off of your shoulders as an individual and go to work for the company that is now controlling it, which is in a tax-free environment because it's a trust. So there are ways to structure yourself properly. Now, if you're just a regular guy and you don't want to do all that, then you want to just sell you send your crypto that you made on Femex back to Coinbase, and then you convert it to US dollars and then transfer that back to your bank. You could probably do that for 20 years without anybody knowing if you wanted to. I'm not recommending that, but no one's going to, especially if it's small money, no one's going to be auditing you. But I'm just saying, not only that, but Trump just fired 25,000 IRS agents. They were already 4 years behind. And I guarantee you they're going to get more and more inefficient until they go away. I wouldn't stress so much about taxes unless you have a large taxable event, you make a lot of money. And if there's any IRS agents listening to me right now, just know that I would never advocate for doing anything illegal. I'm telling everybody, you do the right thing, but get the right help from the right tax strategist who can structure yourself properly so that you can minimize your tax liability legally down to the least amount possible. That's what I do as a business owner. That's what I do as a real estate investor. I have accountants, CPAs, but I also have tax strategists. I don't do it myself. I don't come up with this shit myself. We talk to so many people, and they're expensive, these people. They're expensive to do this. But like, if I have to spend $10 to save 100, if I have to spend 10,000 to save 100, I will. Why give the IRS 100,000 if I can spend 10,000 on a structure and save me 90,000? Right? Use your head, right? When it comes to that.
Thank you so much, Nico. This is very, 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 very. Thank you.
You're
I'm
welcome.
trying to send you a DM on Discord so that you could give us pointers to some of those strategies.
Yeah. Send me a DM, guys, and I'll send you to the people that I use as tax strategists that I use for regular business, but they also can advise you on crypto and things like that. There's somebody in this group, also a member of this group, who is a accountant, and they also are very familiar with the crypto. I'm going to try to get their I'll try to get their permission to refer people to them directly. They used to comment.
Yeah, no going that shit.
Yep. But send me a DM, guys, and I'll refer you. Somebody asked, and by the way, guys, the onboarding started already at 2:00, 3 minutes ago. So if you're brand new, get on that. And also, Karen asked about Canadians for tax strategies for Canadians. I do not know anybody because I don't operate in Canada. I'm not familiar with their rules and laws. But yes, there are strategies for Canadians. You do need to speak to somebody, especially if you invest in the United States, which I know Canadians are allowed to do. There are structures and things you can do as a Canadian resident to reduce your tax liability and protect yourself. I highly recommend you guys look into that. A lot of people are just using a CPA and paying way too much to the IRS that they don't have to, if they just knew that they could structure themselves differently. So many people are doing that, and you're giving way too much up that you don't have to. And you might think it's patriotic. You might think it's your duty, but I assure you it is not. I assure you that, in my opinion, I should say, in my opinion, not that I assure you, but it is legal thievery. Okay? Taxes, income tax should be illegal. It should not be. You should not have to work 3, 4, 5, 6 months out of the year for free because that much of your income goes to the IRS. For them to do what with? For them to do what with? The government prints money out of thin air. They loan it to authoritarian and fascist and communist countries around the world who hate America and want to bomb us. That money gets cycled back in deals to politicians. Do you really want to fund all that? Would you fund that if you knew where the money was going? Would you participate in that if you had an option? You do have an option, guys. And that's why the tax code is written for the rich people, by the rich people, so that they can legally get around things. The good news is that all of us can do it. You just have to understand the code and what they're for. Real estate is probably the best. The tax code is written for real estate investors, to be honest with you guys. And that was a way for wealthy people to get around taxes. With all that being said, guys, I am not a tax advisor. I just study the problem, and I study it, and I talk to people that know a lot more to me, and so I'm repeating some of the things I've heard and other people say. But definitely talk to somebody who knows what they're talking, who's legally not only legally legally allowed to explain it to you, but also will defend you if they help you set up these structures and you ever get audited. They will go to court on your behalf. Those are the kind of tax strategists you want. But yeah, send me a DM and I'll just send you what I know and the connections that I have. What you do with it at that point is up to you guys, but you have a right to legally reduce your tax liability as much as legally possible. There is a line in the law, line in the sand, right? And you can get as close to that line as legally possible without crossing it. What a lot of people do is they stay far away from it and they end up just overpaying. And some people, I laugh to this day that some people are so excited to get a refund, a tax refund from the IRS. I don't think I've had one in 30 years, but some people are excited to get one. And all that means when you get a refund is that you overpaid. You sent them too much and they're just giving you your money back. Why overpay to begin with? Why let them have it or hold on to it at all for any period of time?
Yeah, I sent you a DM on Discord.
Okay.
Mhm.
It doesn't go to
Thank
fix the
you.
potholes. It doesn't go to the local communities. You're not contributing to what you think you're contributing to, guys. None of that money goes there. Tax, gas tax, consumption tax on the food you buy. Gas tax maybe goes to help with the roads and the local communities and areas and stuff like that. But income tax does not. And that is what we are getting killed on. But if you add up all the taxes combined, income tax, consumption tax, gas tax, state tax, all this stuff, you're paying 50, 60% of your income. That's legal thievery. That is terrible. Anyway, this is not a tax call, but I know it is important. And, you know, the more money you make, the more you got to worry about it. But guys, if you just accumulate crypto, it's a non-taxable event until you sell it and convert it to US fiat currency. And so you could either do that and then deal with structuring yourself, or you can just never sell it and just borrow against it.
Now, Nico, I have a question about that. You said that a moment ago that you could pull it out kind of monthly if you pull it out in maybe like $1,000 increment. But that wouldn't be a taxable event. But you said if you move it to US dollar fiat, that it is a taxable event. So how do you move it to your bank account without creating that event?
Well, no, if you sell it and move it to your bank account, that's technically, if it's profit, it's taxable. If you bought $1,000 Bitcoin and then sold it for $500 because the price went down, that is a loss. That's not taxable. You could actually write that off as a loss. So, so selling it is not necessarily taxable. Whether it's profit or not means it's taxable. If you made a profit, that's called capital gains. But if you made a loss, that's not profit, right? So you're not paying taxes on losses. But what I meant is that if you structure yourself properly and the trading is done in a irrevocable trust in a tax-free environment, well, the trust isn't being taxed. But you are the manager of the trust, for instance, and don't quote me on this, guy still talks to a tax advisor, but if you're the manager of the trust, let's say the trust makes a $10,000 profit that month, but the money goes into the trust, but you're only paying yourself $2,000 instead of 10, you're only taxed on your income of the $2,000. The 10,000 is just accumulated in the trust account. Now, as the manager of the trust, you might be required to dress a certain way. You might be required to drive a certain car. You might be required to travel to take certain business trips on the trust behalf to learn things to grow the trust, right? That might be your business, your management obligation to managing the trust. And all of those expenses can get paid for by the trust out of the trust account on your behalf. So you can technically benefit from all of that without it being your income. Does that make sense? When you see people like, oh man, there's some evangelist out there. Who's that black leader that represents the black community? I can't remember. He's
Al Sharpton?
Who?
Reverend Al Sharpton.
No, not him.
The rooftop guy in I can't even think that
he's always every time there's a problem in some community, he's always the one that's on TV talking about it. Famous guy. I can't remember. It's not TD Jakes. Who?
TD Jakes.
No, he's a preacher. Sharpton. Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton. Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton. The reason why I'm bringing them up is because these guys, they get paid $150,000 a year, but they're worth millions. How does that work? They operate in trusts and foundations. They create nonprofit organizations that are owned by the trust that they create. These foundations break in millions of dollars of donations, right? Now, Al Sharpton will put himself on the salary. He's the president or the CEO, or let's say the managing member of the foundation. He will pay himself $150,000, $200,000 a year. That's his salary. So he pays taxes on the $200,000 a year, just like you would if you work for a company, right? But the foundation brings in $30 million a year from all their contracts with governments and all the stuff. And that foundation has a private jet. And that foundation flies Al Sharpton all over the country to all these different things. And that foundation, and he dresses in $1,000 3-piece suits. And he dresses very nice because that foundation pays him to represent them. He has to represent the foundation. He has to look a certain way. He has to be at certain places. He gets to eat at the finest restaurants. He wines and dines politicians because he's trying to raise more money for the foundation. So he's living an amazing life. Big shot, multi-million-dollar lifestyle. But he only pays taxes on 200 grand a year because that's all he gets paid. The rest is all that's being paid for him by the foundation that he's managing. And by the way, a lot of rich people do this, guys. That's just structuring yourself a certain way. So, and you might say there's something wrong with that. That sounds shady, but it's the law, and that people just use it. That's why when Trump was on stage with Hillary Clinton, and she says, you know, something like, you don't pay any taxes. And he says, that's because I'm smart. He goes, you want me to pay taxes, then you need to change the law, but you won't do that because all your rich donors and all your rich friends wouldn't benefit. And he was right. He knows the law. That's why.
And they have the Clinton Foundation that pays everything for them.
That's
They're
right.
not paying anything either. That's not, never mind.
No, you're right. And the Clintons, same thing. They're worth $200 million, but not personally, just the foundation. Foundation covers everything, including pays for their multi-million-dollar mansions, including their daughter's mansion, everything. Guys, it's just, you might think that something's wrong with the system, and it probably is, but the interesting thing is that all of us can do it. The law is the law. We can use these same structures. We can structure ourselves in the same way. You just might not think that you need to because you don't make the kind of money that they make. That may be true, but even if you make 100 grand a year, you can take a $50,000 a year salary, and now you're paying taxes on 50,000 instead of 100,000. The other 50,000 can go into investments, and you can write those investments off. You put 50,000 down on a 10-unit apartment building, and now you do what's called cost segregation, and you depreciate the entire $1 million apartment, 10-unit apartment building, even though you only put 50 grand down, and then you just eliminated your taxes for the next 5 years. When you understand these little strategies, you just operate from a totally different level of confidence, and you know that you're doing it right because you're using the tax code the way it was written for the rich investors to use it. And instead of getting a bill from the IRS, you don't get nothing, and you don't owe nothing. Anyway.
Hey, Nico.
Yes.
Have you ever used the insurance policy, the BYOB, I think it's called?
Yeah.
That
Yeah, so that's a whole nother conversation, guys. And I don't have time to go over it right now, but basically what it is you create a life insurance policy that you pay into, part of your tax strategy. And so instead of the money going into your personal bank account or savings account, it goes into this insurance policy. And then you borrow against the insurance policy. And you don't ever have to pay it back if you don't want to, because it's your money. Basically, you're borrowing from yourself, and you're not going to call the loan due. But I can't even explain it as eloquently as I've had it explained to me before, but it's quite genius. And I highly recommend you look into it. But yes, there is a way to do that where you have not only life, you have not only insurance, rather life insurance, but you can borrow against the policy, and you're contributing to the policy up to a certain amount every week or every month, every year. And you can just take that money out and use it for whatever you want. But instead of taking it out as a distribution, you take it out as a loan.
I have one of those. Would I be able to ask you a question, Nico, about a pair?
Say that one more time, Shawnee.
Can I ask, would you be able to check out a token for me?
Oh, yeah.
Or get your opinion on it?
Yeah, which one?
I was looking at ENA, Athena, and I had just sold some, but I was considering buying more if it came back down.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like we got a repeating pattern here, possibly. As you can see, we come down and we come all the way up. We come down. We might be on our way all the way up. I think we just talked about this on the last call, and it looked like it was. I drew these lines for some reason. Let's go down to the lower time frame and see what it looks like. And we were in what appeared to be a head and shoulders at the time, and I said it could come down to here, but it didn't. It just broke and started to climb up. But if you look at the bigger picture, guys, that's if you go up to the higher time frame on this ENA, it looks like it's climbing. You sold, you said?
Yes, sir. I sold at 56 cents and think about putting, a couple limit orders to buy it back. Ethereum's gonna do a run. It's gonna
Yeah,
follow it.
I mean, it's possible that we have it comes back up to this level again, which is somewhere up here in the dollar range. If this stays true, that would also create a giant W pattern, which could mean time for a breakout to the upside or altcoin season or a big run to the upside. So looking at this now, it looks like it could possibly continue up. I would just be careful with leverage, lower leverage, because these have these pullbacks, these little pullbacks on the way up are big, and that could take you out.
Want to take advantage of those pullbacks.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. Luca.
Yeah.
And by the way, IULs are the shit. I've had mine for 5 years, and taking another year or so, I can start taking a loan against it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so you're familiar with it. Yeah, guys.
It's real and it works.
Yep. My CPA or my tax strategist kind of just was bringing it to my attention. Also, cost segregation. If you got any kind of investment property or real estate, you can do cost segregation, which basically means you're taking all the depreciation. You can take 21 years, I think, something like that, all up front, all at once. So let's say you owe $100,000 in taxes for last year, and you take a depreciation on some investment properties, and the total amount of depreciation is $400,000. You just eliminated the next 4 years of income tax. You just, if you owe $100,000 a year, you don't have to pay it now for 4 years. In simple terms, but there's more to it than that. But yes, you can do that. All right, guys, I got to wrap it up. It's 2:18 right now. If you're still on this call and you're supposed to be on the onboarding call, that's already started. The link is in this chat, and it's also in the main Discord group. But I will keep an eye on Bitcoin and Ethereum and XRP. These are the three majors that are pumping, and they've been doing some crazy stuff. And obviously, we hit an all-time high for Bitcoin and XRP pretty much all in the same week, and they're just consolidating right now. That's all that's happening. There's some consolidation. Let me just share this real quick. This is Bitcoin again. We got some consolidation happening. And we broke below the floor right here, and we are retesting. And this whole time we've been on for 2 hours, this is all that's happened. It's only just gone up to this little line, and it's retesting. So I'm waiting to see what's going to happen there. Is it going to bounce here and come back lower and come down to some of these lower areas down here? This is what I'm thinking that might happen. We might get down here to the 112 zone. And there's a couple stops along the way. One here at one. There's a CME gap right here between 113.5 and 114. So we could certainly right about 114.5. Right about in here, and that's kind of where we hit. So I'm thinking we might come down and at least gap down to here to 113.5 and possibly even get to 112 by the end of the weekend. So I will let you know if I see any of those changes happening. Right now, things are moving very slow going into the weekend. So there is a nice little W pattern happening here. So it's still possible that we break to the upside and come back in. And we do have some liquidity probably below and above us. We do have all this green right here that could be taken out, coming up to 117, 118, 118, probably 119 tops. But we have more down here at the 113 to 114 range.
Hey, Nico, real quick question. Actually, suggestion maybe. For the sales call, the Wednesday night or Thursday night call, would you give some thought to putting in a direct link in the announcements for those of us who like to get on there? So we don't have to fill out all the questionnaire stuff that the new people do.
Yes. Usually it is posted in the announcements channel in our Discord. Let's just go up and look.
Oh, I'd never seen it.
I think you have those links on the free Facebook page.
Yeah, we definitely on the free Facebook page, we're always, reminding people about it. And then, but also in here, I don't see it. Let's see here. We did the challenge and Chad posted that in here. That was
Right.
the challenge last week. Let's go look into the trade signals channels because I think I posted it too in here. Maybe I missed this last one, but yeah, that's, you know, I always say on these calls, guys, by the way, I always say on these calls that to ask for it or it'll be shared, but I guess I'm assuming that you guys are seeing it in the Facebook group as well, but I guess not. But in the free Facebook group, we talk about it every week before the call. I post a video, we post a link, ask for the link, all that kind of stuff. But you're right, that is the link to register for the webinar. You don't need to register to get on it. You just need the Zoom link. And so I will share that. Also, guys, forgot to say, there is a challenge. There is a contest, right? And Chad posted it. Where did he post it? He put it in the trade chat. Right? Where is it?
I think he put it in his signals.
In the signal channel?
I thought he put in announcements too.
I'm surprised that there's only like 30 or 40 of you that actually join that. If you're trading anyway, you might as well join it. All you got to do is click a button.
I'm going to join it.
I'm in already.
Yeah, you should be in it, guys, because here it is right here. Crypto Revenge Trading Competition. If you just click on it, all it does is ask you to click a button. And as soon as you click the button, it registers you right away. You don't even have to do anything else. You don't have to fill anything else out. And you're just going to keep trading anyway like you normally do. And you have a chance to win money. So I would recommend you guys just get in that. Even if you don't think you're good, even if you don't think you're going to win, it doesn't matter. It's still, you'll be surprised. You could have a crazy trade that just puts you into the top 5, percentage or whatever. So I recommend you doing it. And
If you're doing mock trading, will you be able to join that?
no, you have to be in trading and you have to do at least $20,000 in trading volume. That doesn't mean you have to have $20,000, guys. Just think about this. If you have $1,000 and you're at 20x leverage, that's $20,000 in contracts, right? So I can't remember.
No, I try to sign up for all those Femex offers, and I think I've gotten maybe $3 out of it. It's not a whole lot, but $3 is $3.
Yeah, you're gonna get something out of it, but also it just also gets you kind of in something, and you have the potential and the chance to win and make money, and it's fun. It's like we got like 20 some days left. We got until the end of the month, I think. I can't remember when it started, but I think we've been talking about it for a while.
I think it goes to the end of August.
End of August, yeah. All right, guys. I'm gonna wrap it up. I gotta get going. Have a great rest of your day. If you have any questions about taxes, stuff like that, just send me a DM and I'll send you any connection that I have at least. And then there's someone in the group. I'll try to find who she is and see if she's willing to make herself available to maybe get on calls with anybody to talk about crypto taxes. She's a tax professional and is a crypto trader, so she knows a little bit about what you can and can't do and what you shouldn't do. But I do know that there's also some. I think even there is some link that Bill has somewhere too with a crypto tax expert who talks about all the different things you can do to reduce your tax liability. I'll try to find that. You can also ask in the help desk for Bill to guide you in the right direction for that. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day, and I will see you on what's today? Friday. Chad, by the way, Chad is going to be adding another call to the schedule sometime on Thursday. I think he's going to add a call. And so we're going to have another live call Chad's going to do. And then also updates that he does sometimes on Sunday. So be on the lookout for that as well. And we will see you guys in the